Hello guys, I hope you can hear me. Okay, just 1 second. I'm setting up something and we start as soon as possible. Okay, so let's start. This one on the top left is the first sketch we did the last day for the Tyrant Eye. I still don't know how to pronounce it. The one will be the second heroes for the next release. So most of you voted the B version, that is this one on the middle, but I see that there are some valid points that make also the first option a nice idea, that is this one on the lower camera. So my goal is to make something like B, so a bit more intelligent than this one, but at the same time a bit more feral, like the second one. And my idea is that once we settle up the shape of this beholder, if you look it from this angle, it looks like this one, but if you change the camera and take a look at it from this view, it resembles a bit this one. So everyone is happy, and I think that both of them have something I mean, they both have some valid design choices. So, well, I never sculpted something like this. We normally do character like, well, the one we shared until now, and this is really something new. I think it will be not too much different than sculpting a monster head, and then we will find a system to make those tentacles with eyes works. And as many of you suggested, in the end, we will have something like this for the base. So we can have just 1 second, a cylinder, a thin cylinder in this under the beholder. Well, we cannot call that beholder, the Tyrant Eye. So we have this transparent cylinder that most of you can print in transparent resin, not so thick, much more thin. And then we will have the true base of almost 5 centimeters diameter, mostly like the body of the beast. So well, for the moment I don't really want to spend time on this, and we can just find the best way to design this monster. Also, if for the ones that are more familiar with Zbrush, there is something called curve brushes, and basically they do this kind of stuff. It's pretty useful when you need to make monster like this or tails. And in the second part of the video, I hope in half hour or a bit more, we will try to make an insert tube brush like this that already contain the basic sculpting information I need to make this like actual eye of the monster. Okay, so let's try to do this. The first part of every sculpt we make is always a very quick blocking of the various features of a character or a monster. In this case, we will not make the little tentacles in this stage. I just want to block the mind face of the monster. And we will keep a hold to place a sphere in the end, and we will sculpt it as a separate subtool. Subtool are the various pieces you have in a model in ZBrush, basically. I'm now changing the resolution of this mesh. Let's try something a bit. Okay, please. My workflow is pretty simple. I normally just use one or two brushes, and now I'm using the clay build-up for who wants to start using this software. It's simply one of the first ones, and it allows you to put mass, and when you press Alt, you invert the mouse brush, and you just do the opposite. At the same time, the smoothing brush, especially stronger, is very useful to clean surfaces or erase, like the real eraser. It's not too different from pencil sketching at this stage. It's the most fun part, probably. Well, I imagine that my keyboard is very noisy, so I'm just turning off my microphone until I need it. 1 second, and bam. Okay, I hope that everything is working fine. And I was just doing a quick test to see how this shape works with some busy things on the back. It's not simple with this model because it really depends on how you place those eyes tentacles, and it will change shape. Because this is like a fun character, but when you make it more straight on the top, it's like more evil. It's not that easy, but I'm sure we can find the right solution. I think it should have 10 tentacles, if I remember correctly, so we probably place one in the middle, two here, perhaps we have two shot in here, and it would be nice if we have an alternate version with actual 3D magic beams shooting from some of them. Also, the idea was to try to make it a bit more dynamical, like dodging and shooting at the same time in one direction, if you see what I mean. Not so much, but well, that's the idea. There are quite a lot of possibilities with this character. So I think that the next step is to try to play some, well, these ones that I cannot spell in English, and see how it looks before continuing adding details. Okay, yes, I just spent 1 minute checking some messages now, and I have my recorder, OBS, just recording my Zbrush, so that's why you can just hear that. Just 1 minute I'm checking the comments. Well, yes, like some of you say, I was in deep concentration. I usually don't speak a lot when I work. I try to listen to some epic metal music that help me concentrate on the matter. Well, okay, let's keep it on for the moment. Let's see. Uh, well, okay, let's try to place those. I think we can create a quick brush to insert that kind of spikes we need now, and it will be very fast and quick. So I'll just take a cone, I'm initializing it, I can choose how many subdivision I want on it. So perhaps I just set it to 4, and it doesn't need to be very clean because it will obviously be something organical. Let's see how many polygons it has. So my idea is to have something like this. Oops, without symmetry it doesn't look really good. Okay, and perhaps a bit more curved. Okay, this is the base for each one of his fangs. And maybe, as it's very thin for printing, I'll try to inflate it a bit so that the final part is not so fragile. This is just a base, by the way. We'll resculpt everything about these kind of little details. Okay, for who use ZBrush, when you have something that you need and you think it's helpful, you can create easily a new brush with it. So let's modify it a bit. Okay, have something that is a bit more smooth. And okay. This is just a base, and every one of them will be slightly different. So, okay, I think, well, based on this picture, we need also the top part of the of this piece to be a bit more visible, like, yes, like this. Okay, and now let's create a brush. So, create insert mesh, new, and we have the brush here to instantly drop these pieces. Okay, well, just for a test it should work. Let me save it. Okay, I think that it's better to keep the symmetry for the moment, and then we break it in the end and put some asymmetrical fang here and there. So for the moment, let's place these ones that are very symmetrical, and the very cleaning of the file, when I try to make it more printer friendly, will be in the end. I prefer to not waste it, the time I mean, making those. To me, it's always better to think about the composition and the details of, I mean, the aesthetic of the parts in the beginning and think about printing in the end. We always find a solution to make it work. For who want to learn Zbrush for miniatures, there is the move brush that you basically use for move everything like this. When you press back face mask, that is under brush properties, auto masking back face, you just move the back part, and this is very useful when you have some really small details you need to make thicker or make it casting proof, or simply need thicker for your print. But I don't need it now. This was mostly the technique we used to make the Demon King face. So we used symmetrical fangs like those, and we changed it when they were finished, when the face was finished mostly. Okay, for sure these ones are too large compared to the others. Okay, so we will probably end something more irregular with some little ones popping here and there like this, but perhaps we can already place those. But all of those little pieces will be resculpted to suit what it needs. Let's try to see how it looks later. Okay, well, let's keep it like this for the moment. Okay, I'm duplicating these, so we have two layers on this subtool, and we mirror it like that, and we have the other ones, a base for the other ones. So we perhaps can keep the 3 in the middle as asymmetrical for the moment, and let's move this. I'm splitting those and make those symmetrical, so it's easier to cover all this area, and it will be much quicker also. I don't think we will have the time to finish this model today, because of course we spend much more hours than this to finish a single model. The heroes, they got more details and customized stuff like special weapons, and so they really take too much time, much time than the others. But the regular ones, as they are modular now with the goal we unlocked with the separate weapons, they are not too easy to do either. But honestly, I prefer to have a set of troops that you can swap and use to obtain a higher number of models. Okay, so these eyes will be much more menacing than these, we will lose a lot of time to make the pupil to work properly. But for the moment, I just want to sketch something to see how it works, because it really changed everything to have an eye here. Okay, this is too big and cartoonish. Perhaps this is the right size. And of course, when it will be finished, it will be not so symmetrical. Okay, let me think what's the best way to curve this. Okay, perhaps I have an idea. Let's try. There is this piece I never use, or even better, maybe. Let me see. Okay. I'm doing an experiment. I'm not sure it will work. Let's see. So I want to subtract this piece from the pupil to make a nice cut that you can easily paint. Set mesh. So this is the eye. Let's make a backup of it. So we have two eyes and one is not cutted. Backup. Let's make it hidden. And now let's place this piece here. I'm not sure it will work. Let's see what happens. So I separate these. Okay. Well, not at all, but it's a good base to start working on it. We can already tweak this piece to have a different look. Let's see how it works with the face. Okay, you see it's giant, huge, too much. So we need it much smaller. And as we are in the preview, if I turn the rest of the face on, we will see the cut even there, even if it's not what we're going to do. So. Try this. Okay, this looks like more what we need. Let's see if we move it. Okay, this is. Okay, I think we are almost there. What I want to avoid is this kind of effect, so perhaps we need something like this, so I can rotate the eyes properly. And these are not the right polygons, it's too squarish. Okay, some polish, it's already better. Okay, let's try to do that. Perhaps a bit bigger. Yes, and make wooden mesh. This is a new feature of Zbrush. Well, new of the last year, and in the past it was so much painful to make this kind of operation, and it's exactly what I do when I need to cut a model. The Demon King had been really a big effort to cut with this system. We spent like 8 or 9 hours to make all the hands, neck, and legs cuttings. So make boolean mesh. It worked. Let me open it and place it here. Okay, so we have a nice base here, and it already looks a bit more the one in the sketch. Okay, let's change material because I'm already bored of this one. This is much brighter, and sometimes it gives you a different view on the model. I mean, changing material. So sometimes you spot something that you have not spotted with the other one, even if it's just a 3D preview. Oops. Okay. Okay, so I don't want to touch this area because I'm sure that it will be full of tentacles, and when they will be appended here, I don't know the right term, we will find a solution to make it work. Also, it would be nice to have a tongue like this one on the third concept. I'm sure that we can make it work, and if it's too much, we can have two versions, one with the tongue and one without. Okay, so we want to have a general look of this depth pack that those depth ones have crafted all their equipment with this kind of kitting armor pieces that they carve from other monsters. So I imagine that this Tyrant Eye can have that kind of material covering his face. Also, if you have a bit of patience, we will open the next model we are making secretly for these relays. As always, we have a Beast Rider, and this time is a depth one over a giant insect that will resemble a bit the Hammerhook you see on Dungeons and Dragons. Well, we cannot make exactly a Hammerhook, but something similar that works as proxy. I was not really sure to show it to you at this stage because that big insect is really at the start of the sculpting, so it looks like a bit this one at this stage, and so it's not so great. If we have some time later, we will open it. Okay. So let's try to see how it looks when we append some spikes here too. Okay, not exactly what I was looking for. Sorry. A bit like this. Okay, this is probably too high. I mean, it looks nice, but it's going to be plugged inside his eye. I'm not going for the realism here, but this is a bit too much. Okay, this is just a basic definition, like a reminder that I need to make this like this. I'm not going to finish every detail every time I start one. My current workflow is like pencil sketching. I do a base mockup, then I try to refine a bit everything at the same time, and on the last stage I finish detailing everything, but just when all the details are there. Like, probably now it's too early to start making all the spikes if we have not a general composition with the tentacles. So let's try to find a way to make those tentacles works. I'm saving my eyes now, and okay, if I remember correctly, there is a function that lets you make a three-part insert brush if the topology can be connected. So my idea is to take this cylinder, take just a portion of it. Okay, triplicate it to have those three parts that I need. Oh, perhaps I need more polygons. Let's take a bit more. Okay, right hidden. Okay, double so I can see the inside. Okay, this basically is my central part of each tentacle, and by central I mean right after the root and just before the eyes, all these parts. So this will be duplicated in the center, and of course I will be sculpting it. So let me find. Okay, this is the symmetry axis. I want to have something that make a nice contrast when you paint it, some kind of, not exactly a fin, but something that gives some nice shading and 3D on the object. So, okay, this is what I'm looking for. Okay, now quick save, again, you never know. And let's replicate this. So this is the part where the eyes connect, and this is the root of the tentacle. And auto group. Okay, now the last part needs to contain a mock-up of the eye, so we are faster at doing that later. Let me think. So, okay, close alls. Need to remove this part. Now, group. Okay, this is the part I don't need because this is the connection with the central piece. Okay, so we now need the eye, and I already have it. So let's use this. Create insert mesh, new. Let's go back there, and we basically place the eyes here. The eye, sorry, not the eyes. This is the part where my computer crashes normally. Okay, now let's try to see if we have enough polygons to make the eyelid. Okay, I don't want this part to be moved because it's the connection with the main body of the tentacle. So, okay, yes. For who uses Zbrush, I'm pressing Alt while using the Move brush, and it basically moves everything on a perpendicular way compared to the surface I'm touching. Not sure if it's pretty clear, but it basically do this. It doesn't need to be perfect now, it's just a mock-up we will use to test how those will look. And by the way, everything I sculpt here, even if it's not finished, once you print it on the proper sides, it already looks much better. Okay, so let's hide this for the moment. And even if it's a bad topology to sculpt, I really don't want to change it now. Let's reshape it a bit. This is the inside, so really I don't care about it. I want this part to be more outside. It looks super bad, honestly. I think we will manage to fix it. Okay, let's pretend it's nice. And just a bit more of sphere shape. Okay, this is just a base, by the way. Okay, let's try to see if it works, because I don't use this system from, well, years. I want this part to be larger too, as it's the root. The base, I don't know how to call it. Okay, it should work. Let's see. I think that the top, no, I don't remember how it works. I think that the top part should be the base. So when I drag the brush, it starts from here, replicate these until I end, and then there will be the ending of the brush, that is the eye itself. Create, no, they must be on the same subtool. Okay, quick save. I'm just saving these as backup. Second, brushes. Okay. Create new brush. And under stroke, I'm starting the curve mode. It will not work right away. Oh, yes, well, almost. Okay, now I just must tell him to merge those pieces. And I think it was here. 3 parts, weld point, stretch, I don't remember, it was nice. I think it stretched the eyeball too, so it's better to not use it. 10 of curve resolution, and let's try 16 here. Okay, well, now we have a base to track those. And the effect I wanted was not this straight line like this. I want to be able to do this. I'm showing you. For example, this has to be done manually, but sometimes I want this line to go to the side, like, you know, some strange tentacle of some octopus. It will create more interesting shadow and it will be nicer to paint. So, well, let's try how it looks on the monster itself. I'm going to save this brush, so if it crashes, we have it. Just a second. Insert. Okay. Now delete everything and let's go back to the face. Let's try these sides. Okay, I want this curve to be exactly in the middle of it, so I'll just need to, if I remember correctly, to change the depth of this to 0, and it should work. Yes, okay, this will be much more fun to use and correct. So let's say this is our flying beholder. Oops, Tyrant Eye, sorry. And okay, it works. So we have several options here, because we can make all of them on the top, like the one from the monster book of the last edition, if I remember correctly. We also can have some of them going down like this. For sure, we don't want them to support the weight of the model. I hate to have those sticking on the ground. I'm not really sure of the lower one. It's just a test. It's interesting because they look like some kind of weapons. Well, they are weapons, but you see what I mean. and it will empty some space on the top, because if every tentacle is starting from here, it will be very busy and hard to paint, hard to print too. And also in the last part of the video, I hope we have time to finish this today, probably we can try to think how to prepare this stuff for printing. Perhaps some tentacles are separated and needs glue, or perhaps it's all merged. I really don't know at this stage. Okay, I'm just taking 2 minutes to read the comments, okay? Hey Greg, of course I will make those grooves deeper. This is just a mock-up. Yes, we will try to do that. The Gizmo, I never use it. Honestly, I hate it. After 10 years of Zbrush using the transpose line, that is not a nice system, but I really love it. So for me, no. For me, it's really better because I can place it like in the middle here and use the rotate to do that. If I need to change the appearance of something, I just do this, for example. This is very useful for spikes and all things like that. I really love to use the transpose line for everything. Let's check some other comments. On fur, you say? Well, yes, I have a tip on fur. Most of the people I see, they downloaded a pack of fur on the web. You can check for fur, I don't know how to pronounce it, insert brush or Zbrush fur or Zbrush fur alpha. My technique is different. I like to have, to sculpt them by hand, otherwise all the models look the same if I use the brushes on the web. So I have two solutions. You go to brushes, you go to slice. These are the basic ZBrush. Slash, sorry, not slice. Slash, this kind of slash. And instead of using it like this, because this is what it does basically, you select the spray mode and you start making a general feel and shape of the fur. I did it for the wolf, for example, for the world of Vesdra. This is just a basic shape. Then when you are happy with it, what I do is really sculpting brushes fur one by one like this. It's a bit long, but it's personal. And another solution, a quick solution, is you prepare this piece, you make it really well so you like it. Let me go back here because I don't want obviously to have fur here. Oops. Okay. You have this piece, you clean it, and you close holes, you fix it. Well, so let's pretend this is a piece of fur that is finished. I'm responding to you so in detail because many people keep asking me how I do fur. So when you do that, you make some variation. So let's say clone this. I duplicate this a few times. I make one like this. I make one like this. Well, let's pretend this is a really finished piece of fur you like and you think you will use. Then I create insert multi-mesh brush. It will apply all this stuff to a brush like this, and you have the three pieces here, or when you press M. And when you need one piece of fur, you just drag it, change to the other one. Let's say they are different. So if you have 10 pieces of fur, this is basically your flow. And once you have a big chunk of fur like that, you can even duplicate it. Oops, and it's not working, of course. And do something like this. Of course, you need to spend time to make every one of those perfect if you want to do that. And it's not too long because it's just one piece and then you can mix the technique. For the wolf, we use the cut brush to make a general shape of the fur everywhere, a texture, and then we placed manually this kind of fur locks on the legs, on the head, and on that kind of details. Just 1 second, I'm reading your comments. Yes, of course, all the eye stalks, as you call them. I didn't know it was the name. Yes, they will have different different size and length, of course. I'm not really sure. I'm already sure on how to place those because, well, surely for start we will make a symmetrical composition and change it later. But it's possible, guys, that I make a composition now that is pretty simple, and tomorrow I say, oh, this is the new beholder, and every tentacle is going in a completely different direction. It's a simple model, but with those tentacles, it really change a lot based on how you use them. I guess that some three or four of them will look on the back, perhaps, if they are 10, so it's not a problem. So, and also, well, let's try to make some of them and see what happens. This is just the base. I really need to sculpt each one of them manually. So that's why I want to preserve the symmetry for now. So I do half of the job and then try to reposition the one I have. It's much faster using the symmetry for the first start of the job, and then you go crazy bending everything. Another thing you can do is to simply take one you really like, scale it a bit, and make it work for another piece, even without using symmetry. So probably those two are a bit big. Sorry, this is not really the most dynamical model to make. I mean, the workflow, because it's really a lot of planning on how to make this composition works. And perhaps it was better to make the live on another model. But well, we are doing this now. Okay, so there is something I should turn off to avoid that kind of stuff. Let me separate those. Oops. This is better. Okay, let's do something. Let's create those 10 eyes, and after that, we think how to make them works in a composition. Even if it's not my usual workflow, but this is really the first time I do a monster like this, and I really have no idea not how to sculpt them, but what's the best workflow. Okay, I have another idea. Let's do something. We keep this piece here that is easy to detail to finish everything, but we make it a clone. We merge everything, we make a clone, and make the final pose of the model. So in the end, I just go back on the T pose, on the symmetrical one, finish the tail, and then place it again, the head, on the new pose. So let me save this as symmetrical Tyrant Eye. Okay, save. Let's how to say that, merge everything together. Merge visible. Okay, and this is the one we use for the pose. Okay, so let's make a group for every one of them. I guess it's better if I do just one single group for the thing, so they are easier to select. Here too, and on this one, two. Okay, so the main idea was to make it a bit diagonal, this, and a bit diagonal like this. This is mostly how the model will be presented. And then, okay, if we want to enhance this pose, we must move this higher. Basically, it's like if those tentacles are his arms. It already looks better, to me at least. And I want them to look a bit everywhere, not just all of his eyes are targeting a single enemy here, but I want some of them to be looking on some other places. So, as they are meant, I mean, to wipe one third party, this is probably the best solution. Okay, let's do like this. Okay, this is not good because it's covering the silhouette of the face. So let's move it a bit lower like this, and it's already better. To me, it's very important that all the elements we sculpt are visible from the main camera we choose. Well, also, of course, from the other angles. But I mean, it's if you spend hours to find the right design and then you place something on top, you really have just wasted your time. Well, I like this, that those two are similar some way. And probably we can really use just those as bases to make all of them. F6 at the moment, okay. Let's keep these, mirror it to the other side. This is nice here. Needs some reshaping, but I like the space it's covering. For who jumped in now, or in the last 10 minutes, we are just trying to find the right composition for the final piece, but we are not really into details right now. So you can see the eyes are really bad at this stage, but it's just what we need to make the silhouette of the character. Okay, this gives something interesting. Let's rescale it a bit, so it's a bit smaller than the one on top. And let's curve it a bit. Just 1 second. Yes, well, honestly, in the future we can make a pack of spectator, as you said, with some just for tentacles. Okay, we just lack two of them. If someone can answer me quickly, does they have 10 eyes plus the one on the center, or they are 9 tentacles plus one in the center to have a total of 10? And I'm checking the answers soon. In the meantime, I start to place a few horns. I think that will look nice with this look. And we can use this piece we did before. Oh, well, let's take it from here. It will be nice if you have some of these little spiky things going out from here, and then we will cover the inner part in the end when it's finished, so it's easier to print. I mean, they will not sticking out so much. Probably they will have their back part almost like this, so you can see it from this camera. Is still an easy print. But for the moment, let's just think about the aesthetic of the character. So I'm checking your answers. Okay, 10 plus 1. Thank you. It was my thought, but honestly, I'm not so expert of Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so for the moment I just duplicate this and place it here. Just so you know, all the characters we made passed through this process. I mean, there is a there is a time in the sculpting process where they doesn't really look too good. The final part of the sculpting where you really choose all the details you need and you make them look as best as you can is the part where the models start to look better. And there is a time where we spend more time, honestly. Because all of these surfaces in the end will look looks like some real textures of some demonic creature with chitin and scales, organic textures, something like that. All made by hand, of course, but not so boring. Let's try to make something quick to see how it looks when it's finished. So I'm just separating these, and oh, this looks good too. So we have a general feel of the final piece. Let's try to finish this part, for example. Okay, in the first layer, normally I do something like this when I need to deal with this kind of details, and this is what I have been doing for all the Depth 1's armor with Francesca. Then I try to smooth it a bit and see what are the prominence details I need, and use some clay build-up to make like 3D plating and I'm not sure how to call that. Kitting, perhaps. And all of these pieces, once I choose the right pattern, all of these details, no, sorry, not pieces, will be much deeper, so they will be easier to print and paint. This is also the technique I'll be using to detail the demon wings of the epic boss of this month. It has been like 3 hours of sculpting skin and scales just for the wings. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with the result. I think we found the right technique to make this kind of surfaces on a membrane like the one of the wings. So, do you like the idea of having a mounted knights this month that resemble a amber hook with a depth one on top? I'll check the answers in a minute, so I'll give you the time to write if you want. Of course, this one needs more resolution. This is really too low. So let's make an additional subdivision and see what we need. We can try 2 texturing, one here and one here, and see which one is better. For the Amber Hulk, we planned to do some less skin and more heavy kitting, like the armors weared by the dead ones, as they are meant to be made with this kind of material. And we have this kind of rhythmic holes that should make a nice effect when you need to paint them. So we can have a mix of this and that. Sometimes the best way to do this is to make both. let some time pass, like a day, and the day after you clearly see what looks better for this kind of monster. And with 12 packs per year that we will make, I'm sure that this year there will be one more beholder, or even more if people vote for them, and so we can really test some new designs. I would really hate to just take this, duplicate it, and change a bit the tentacle. It's better if we make some more beholders to have really unique details. As some of you suggested, even a Death Tyrant, the undead one, could be a nice idea. And I think it will be not too hard to make, probably. Okay, so we have these 2 tests here, and honestly, I like both of them. This is more like elephant skin, and this is more like demonic plating. Perhaps I prefer the one on his left. This one I'm highlighting now. What do you think? I'm checking your comments now. Kevin, yes. Well, but I'm surely not even half expert as them, because it's like 12 years I don't play Dungeons and Dragons, honestly. And I really spent a lot of time making other kind of sculpts, and for me it's like everything is new now. My experience mostly comes from video games like Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Night, the old ones. So let me know if you prefer the plating with these kind of holes on the highlighted part, or the ones with the black shadows on it, the black masking. Okay. In the meantime, I try to make the final 2 tentacles. And when one of the 2 is chosen, I'll just take this to symmetry again and mirror it to the other side, so we have a final material for this kind of monster. So sometimes a good idea to do this kind of sketching is to use the curved refill or the quad fill even. It's simply a 3D lasso tool you can use to sketch, and it's tremendously useful to make hair, spikes, weapons. Like when I need to do an axe for a character, I just do like this, and then I sculpt it. So I really came from sketching and pencil, and well, that's drawing is my background, so I prefer to do that kind of stuff and then sculpting every piece. It has not been made here for the beholder because he's so spherical that this was not really the right things to do for him. But for a much complex character, I just draw with a lasso to find the right composition for wings, arms, weapons, and so on. And well, now this is also a powerful tool to test the final composition of this monster. For example, we can have one long tentacle here. Here, I mean, you can redo this exactly the same with the tubes, but it's not the same because this is like sketching, and when you sketch, you have a much more powerful tool in your hand, I believe, than adjusting manually a tube. At least if you have been drawing for your life. Okay, so this is really something I want to do. And we just need to finish one of them. This perhaps can be here. Okay. And maybe we just need another one like this. That is this one, because I remember it was the same, to be placed on the back of the character. I'm almost thinking that if we keep it in this way and we make well, these, I don't know how to call them in English, if we can make them like this, they will just look better, and it will be easier to print in this angle, perhaps. What do you think, guys? Okay, I'm reading your comments, and I think that I will take the best of those two texturing. So in the skin parts, I will do something more like this. I mean the one that looks elephant skin, and on the heavy plating, like the armor of like in this place, we'll make something like this. So we have both of them, and the model is also less boring to look at. Also, let's try to find a way to place the final base, even if it's not the right tool. I just want to have a final composition. So this is, let's see, this is, okay. This is mostly the sides of the head, so it will be, I will scale up to 5 centimeters, but as always, you can change the scale of the character of the base independently, so they will really look as you need. And the plan was to have a transparent piece of resin here that, well, you can even print with any other material. And I want to make an alternate version of that transparent flight stand, let's call it like that, that is not transparent and is made of something like books and treasures. So for who doesn't own a resin printer can have something that is not simply something like this, and have some kind of supports like we did for the Griffon, that there is a little rock touching his fingers. But let's just place this here as mocap. And I think probably that the base need to be a bit bigger. Okay. Okay, a little bit less. For who's curious on what I'm doing, basically Zbrush lasso selection is based on the sides of the item in the canvas. So if you do that, you do a very hard masking. If you do this, it's stupid, but it works like that. You make a soft, smooth mask. And this is good to make rotation on the axis of these pieces to have this kind of effect. It's basically for to have some Raging Heroes model, what we did on the Nagalitz, the last, how can I say, Naga's character that looks like a bit a Medusa with snake body. We really spent a lot of time doing this kind of masking to make their body to rotate on themselves. Oh, it's already so late. I will try to finish in 30, sorry, 30 minutes, half hour. Sorry for my bad English. It's not so easy to pronounce all that kind of letters and combinations. Okay, so this is mostly what I wanted to do. I don't know if it will be going under this one and this one go here, or perhaps the opposite like before. For the moment I just keep it here, and then when I detail them I think on what's the best composition with Francesca. I don't remember if this was the last one, so now I check numbers. Okay, it's 10. With this one it's 10. I think we need something that replicate a bit the big one on the top. This looks very bad, this one. So perhaps something like this. Go here. So we have this nice diagonal here. Okay, let's save it. Just reading a few minutes the comments. Okay, let's try to give it the tongue. It was a plan too. In the beginning I was saying that the idea is to have two versions of him, one with tongue out, one without tongue, or perhaps another way to do that is to have the tongue as a separate piece. Perhaps it's the best way. So you can apply that, remove it if you don't like it. Let's see how it will look. Well, if he's dodging in this direction and shooting from his eyes, I imagine that the tongue will be like this, so going in this direction too. It makes the look of this monster a bit less serious, but it's up to you if you want to use the tongue or not, as it will be a separate piece. And yes, there will be a lot of saliva here and there. So let's try to see how it will look. I will try to sketch it with the curve brush I was using before. And well, all the mouth will be a lot different with the final details and the final fangs here. Okay, all these parts will be a lot more thicker to optimal printing. Right now I'm just sketching what it will looks like. It could be even something like this and like this. Okay, yes, this definitely needs to be a second version, because if I would be using it for a game, I would prefer it to not have this kind of saliva, and turns out to me it looks like it's a bit less smart. Or maybe he went berserker. So we keep that as a separate piece, and now I will sculpt it, and I just will make two versions. So some other thing I wanted to try, let me save it again, final pause, here, is to have some beam rays that goes out, that are he's shooting from his eyes. This is better. In that case, let's take the usual tool. Okay, this needs to be a bit like this and a bit lower. And as I said before, I want them to be more alive, so I will just rotate them in their axis before sculpting them, because it's still a mock-up. Okay, this is too much. Let's try. Okay, this is better. And honestly, it was looking better before. Let me go back on the. So this was the original one, and this is the new one. So we lost this curve that is nice and working well. Just 1 second. Oh, it's really super hot here today. Okay, so about the drooling, sorry, the race. In that case, it should be something like this, for example. Oops. It's not even working. Huh. Okay, let's try with the other one. And this is just the base, of course. This will be fully 3D and it's just an idea. I don't want to end up making like 10 versions of this, so we will have probably the tongue as separate piece, and then you can apply it on the one without the magic beans and the one with magic beans. And also I was reading that these creatures have one spell effect on every tentacle, so I just need to read which one they are using if there is an order, and make them with some, following some rules. I'm not really sure about this. I'm not really for 3D spells on the table, but remember that when we made the poll, well, not the poll, we asked for your opinion on real 3D spells or empty hands for the dipped ones, and most of you say that you want, well, both options, because you also need the 3D spells. So probably we'll end up doing something for the beholder too. About the base, the idea is to have, well, the base that can work with everything, because you can just take your 3D application and place every base you need and put it here, as these will be 3 separated pieces. And the special base for this beholder could be something with treasure chests, books, something that could be nice to have in your dungeon, like he's guarding the treasure room or the library. So let's take some cubes and let's start to make a mock-up of the base too. Something really quick, just to see how it will work. Also, this is a good way to hide the flight standings. So this could be one chest. We can have another one here, smaller and open, perhaps. We can have a little pile of gold. So let's place a placeholder for that. Okay, this is our gold. Perhaps we can have a pile of book here on the back. Let's see how it will occupy the space. In that case, of course, the correct technique is to make one or two books very quickly, because it's not the main protagonist of this piece, and they will be also very small. And then duplicate it and try to make it interesting. Not like this. My idea is to bend the whole book palace when it's done, like we did for the tentacles. So let's say okay, we can add something for the user of FDM printers that can't use transparent resin for the flight stand. They can have something that is touching the beholder slightly on the lower spikes to to make it flying. Instead of the standing, like this, mostly like this. I just put it here for the moment. Okay, so I guess this is the end of the beholder streaming for today. I think that I will just record the next session this evening or tomorrow when I have the time to continue it, as it's not too late in the month, so we should be able to finish everything for the last days. And well, we will record it and make a full video and put it on YouTube. For the last minutes, I wanted to read your comments and open the next big character of this pack. Well, I was reading the comment, and just so you know, Epic Duck is a great painter and is also a great sculptor, and I really hope he will publish soon some new tutorials, so I can really link them to you. It's really worth to check his Patreon. I will make a link later, because he has really interesting painting techniques. Sorry. Okay, let's save this. Final position. Okay. So the next beast on this pack will be, as I said, some sort of proxies for the Amber Hulk. And as always, there will be a hero on top of it, and the hero is this one. Let me open the pack so I can show you everything we have till now. Reverse. Just 1 second, I'm on the menu. A, B, C, D. Okay. I remember that some of you asked please to make some of the dipped ones with the mouth showing, so we did that. So this is river A, and as always, this is one piece, and then you will have the chance to apply the other with glue or in your 3D building applications. And everyone comes with few weapons options, and you can mix them. Like the next one will have daggers, and you can just place the dagger here and here. So this is the first one. Let's make a lineup of them so you can see what's expected for the next one. This is okay. No, okay. This is the other one. This is the other, let's say, mage. And as we have 5 dead ones in this pack, we thought that it's not bad if we have one with their beaks showing, and it's not the most beautiful character in the world, of course. Okay, so this one, as always, compatible with all the other weapons and and armor and accessories. This is the other one. This is more like the assassin, but we tested it works with every other weapons. And remember, guys, that you can mirror these ones on your printing application to have more poses. Like you really mirror these to use a second assets of weapons and accessories, and you have another character. And the last one, perhaps my favorite, this one. Okay, so this is basic lineup. As someone asked me, how do I make sure that they are at the proper size? Well, it's simple with Zbrush. When you use the move, scale, or rotate action line, it gives you the measurement of the sides. Like you check here on top on the left, and this is 40 millimeters, for example. I like to make model just a little bit bigger for various reasons, and also they print better on FDM printers. But as always, you can just scale everything down to 90% or 80 if you need it. But this is my main method to do that. So when I need something that higher, I just put my ruler here, let's say to 10 centimeters, and I scale it till it reach this point. Not with this method, but with the deformation panel for if you need to use ZBrush, like this. And I check if it measures exactly the size I need. Okay, so let's go to the next one. There is the hero of this pack. The Soul Stealer is the one from the welcome box bust. And it's this guy. The head is exactly the same because we wanted to preserve his face. It's a bit different from the other. It's more like a squid. And he comes with another option, and it's this. So I really hope you will take the chance to print him with some fancy transparent resin to make some magical effect. And this guy will have a second version like Vesdra on Gorefang Wolf riding a beast. And the beast, it's really early to show you, but we wanted to do either way. And it's this one. It's not imposed, it's just a symmetrical test. We're calling it Hive Colossus, and is basically this guy. So you can imagine it will be something with a much more dynamical poses. I don't know, perhaps something with one arm going on the front and one arm going to the back, advancing, running, something like this, let's say. And well, the other guy, let me take it, Soul Stealer hero will be reposed, of course, not in the same pose, and will be hanging on top of him. This is not the final size of the beast. Okay, this is the time when Zbrush crashes because I opened too many models in the same scene. Okay. You can imagine the monster to be much smaller, and he will be climbing over his back using some kind, I don't know, having the staff probably pointing forward. You can expect something like this, but with a better scale, better pose, and better details, because this is really at an early stage. It's not finished. Okay, so well, this is the end of the streaming, and I really hope you will like the final version of the Beholder and this big insectoid. It's really too early to speak about a final design because it's really in the middle of the creative process. We made a quick pencil sketching, and now it's the time where we try different surfaces, different sides, and always we will take the chance to open the Vestra and Gorfang model, and also Alvar on the Griffin, and we will try to put it one near the other to see which is the best composition and size for him and proportion. Okay, so it will be probably running or fighting or something like that. Perhaps like Iron Man pose, you know, when he's jumping out of a down of a palace and he's uh, like punching the earth. I don't know. We have several ideas on our mind and need to spend few days on try sketching the stuff. Also, if you really need like this design, it's possible that in the future we make a pack of just monsters with beholders, with other sets of Amberwood, and we really wanted to remember you that we unlocked the standalone beast goal. That means that the two characters, the hero and his beast, will be separated. They will have two versions: one attached, fused, if you want to print them together, and one separated, so you can glue them together afterward. And this version is especially useful if you want to have, let's say, a monster on his own, like you need Amberwood for an encounter. As always, you can just mirror the pose. Well, it will not work now because it's symmetrical, but basically, let's say this is the monster. You mirror it, and you have another Amber Hulk to paint maybe a bit different, and you have two pieces. Okay, so I will try to publish some full video of the beholder once we finish it. I hope you liked the time lapse. It was a bit boring, I think, because we needed to figure out the best way to make it work. But thank you for participating. Bye bye.